welcome back to another episode of the EXP Podcast. I'm joined once again by my co-hosts Kem and Luan. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey there. Wow, that was loud, Luan.
Hi.
Hey, Luan.
Wow, new and louder Luan. This week we're going to be discussing the topic of first games industry jobs, and joining us to discuss this are Kenji and Ray. So if I can get Kenji to start off by introducing himself.
Hello there, everyone. So my name is Kenji Shimomura. I'm an environment artist working in Oxford at Rebellion. I'm a Spanish guy that just came over from Canada after finishing my studies in think tank training center. And yeah, I'm gonna let Ray to continue.
Hi everyone, my name is Ray Vanderhaegen. I'm a junior environment artist currently working at nDreams. To steal a bit from Kenji, I am from South Africa, hence the accent, and I don't know how I made it to England. And that's it.
On a boat.
You just arrived.
Yeah. Showed up
Hopefully he
one
didn't
day.
swim, it's quite a long way.
I'd be impressed if he did swim. Yeah, it's a good feat.
So, as both of you have joined game studios reasonably recently, I just want to start us off by talking about the transition into kind of the roles that you are now doing, kind of moving on from working on your portfolio and how that kind of went into getting after you kind of landed the job and started up. How was that? So let's talk about your first day to start off with then. So Kenji, how was your first day at Rebellion?
Well, after smashing my head against the computer doing a portfolio during like many months, I was really scared. I thought that they will be, like demanding from me a lot of things, and the reality, it was that I was scared because of nothing. People, they are, like expecting you to just arrive, like feel, comfortable with the team, with the tools, and yeah, in general, it was smoother than I thought.
That's good. So what were you worried that they would think or ask of you?
I think it could be, I don't know, like the timing or the amount of work that they will be putting on me. And it wasn't nothing like that. It was like really not overwhelming at all. It was just like small bits here and there, and just trying to find which are my stronger points. They as well, they offer me like several choices to pick up and start, running. And yeah, and everything I needed, like from software or even, like some like knowledge about something that they were, like doing at that very moment, it was given or provided to me. And yeah, I think the hardest part maybe it was the engine that they are using in Rebellion, which differs a lot with anything that normally a student knows, that is Unreal Engine. But yes, at the end of the day, it was something that is like really like a pretty similar workflow, and the timings were practically nothing to be scared about of. And every single asset has its own timing for get it done. And if you are just doing all your task steady and asking when you have a problem, instead of like trying to struggling against an issue yourself, just asking around is the best solution, and you're gonna end up like getting much more knowledge from other people around you than just trying to find information wherever, and probably you won't find it. So it was really good because I just entered there like full steam ahead and highly motivated. And at the end of the day, that's what matters for, like being a sponge.
Yeah. How long did it take you to sort of relax within the team? Sort of just feel like not so much as part of the team, but feel like not out of your element.
Yeah, probably took me a couple of weeks. And the first week, you are like a little bit feeling out of place. You don't know the people, you don't know with who you should be spending more time, or if you have any problem, you don't know who you should be following besides your lead, but you cannot be, like relying on someone, on just a unique person. You have to check who is in charge of what, and then start, like asking the proper questions to the proper people, right? And yeah, after 2 3 weeks, I decided to like be another gear in the whole machinery. So I think it's less than a month probably for anyone. Or
Yeah, it's pretty normal, especially if you move country, because you've got the whole new culture to get accustomed with, and just like you've uprooted your entire life from another country. That's always a big step.
Yeah,
Was
probably
that
the
the same?
hardest part, Cam, probably the hardest
Go for
part was like finding a proper supermarket nearby.
Right, man, you got Tesco's, Asda's, Sainsbury's, Morris. Like the list goes on. I mean,
To those who are not from the UK, those are our basic supermarkets.
unless you have no money, like it's pretty hard to, But they're always there. They're just every corner you go to, there's a supermarket. So maybe you went down the wrong road. I don't know. Was it like that for you, Ray? Were you struggling to find supermarkets when you first arrived in the
I
UK?
don't think so. I just I don't know. You can order food online these days, so it kind of makes things very easy.
true.
Easy.
I get my shopping delivered.
Technology.
And what about your first week at nDreams then? How was that?
Different. I mean, I started once we had gone into lockdown. So the whole initial phase was really, really weird. They kind of sent me a computer, which I don't know why I didn't expect that to happen. They told me they would send me a computer, but it was still, I don't know, a bit of a surprise to just have a tower arrive at my front door.
Must be pretty epic.
Yeah, it's a really cool time. And obviously, the first thing I did was open it up and look inside. But yeah, I mean, you go through all the initial, you do like the HR stuff that needs to happen, and paperwork and all that. I was quite surprised that on my first day they were like, yeah, grab the build, play the game, and if you have any questions, ask away, and just there's your day. Just play the game. Have thoughts. If you want to poke around an engine, go for it. And the rest of the week was really my lead, just kind of walking me through where they were, what needed to be done, and just asking me if I was comfortable doing certain tasks. The whole thing was really comfortable though. nDreams works in Unreal Engine 4, which I'd been working in my free time anyway on my portfolio, so that was a really smooth transition. Same with modeling applications, it was all stuff I was already using. So the transition itself was incredibly smooth. I think I integrated quite quickly, but I was also very lucky in that sense.
That sounds like even though it was a bit trickier being remote than in-house, it went pretty well.
It's a little chaotic. It's always going to be when you can't. There's still a ton of people I have never met face to face, and I work with them every day. I talk to them every single day. We have webcams and things like that, and we do stand-ups every morning. But I've never seen these people face to face, kind of thing, apart from over a webcam, which is a really bizarre feeling. I kind of have this internal joke of I wonder how long I could stay without meeting a single person.
Maybe a year. What's it like starting? Because obviously Kenji flew out, and then he started a job in-house, and then the lockdown started. But what's it like starting your first job, or just from your house? There must be a really odd experience to what you were expecting.
It's super weird. The first week, I would say, felt like I was doing an art test almost. Because it's just I would go sit at my computer and turn on one light, throw on some music, and just operate. Just kind of go crazy with it, just get things done. Which is definitely, I think, not the best attitude to have. You need to kind of put yourself in work mode rather than that kind of push forward mode. It took me a long time to understand it's okay to go up and just make a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and you need to get up and stretch your legs. And HR were super helpful with that, just saying just take a break, go for a walk or something, it's fine. In an office environment, if I needed water or something, it would be a bit of a trek. I'd have to walk over to a water cooler, maybe grab a glass, go all the way back to my desk. Whereas in my house, I could get a glass of water in, I don't know, 10 seconds.
How far away is the kitchen and the office? Wow.
Oh man, it's got to be close. I keep.
I think everyone here is like, what the hell is he making the water?
See, I keep a like 1 liter thermos just full of cold water next to me, like thermos today.
Yeah, I
Pro
do that
tip
as
right
well.
here, by the way.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Free advice. Free
You say
advice.
this, I forget to drink. So I have a 1 liter bottle that I forget to drink from. So I won't drink anything for like 2 hours, and then I will chug the entire thing in one
Tell
go.
you, man, if you check the Gen chat, now I've started this new thing. I think every 2 hours I'll just scream coffee time in Gen chat, and everyone knows, oh, it's time for a drink. So there's your hourly reminder if you need it.
I'm curious, actually. How have you found the sort of onboarding and team integration process whilst in lockdown? Have you felt kind of like I asked Kenji, like have you felt part of the team, or do you kind of feel slightly odd yet? Or
it was kind of like joining a new Discord server. It's a very similar relation, right? Like you hop in, everyone's oh hey welcome, and then you kind of chat with a couple of people and others not so much, which I guess is how it would work in an office as well. But yeah, it very much felt like joining a new Discord server and just slowly integrating, starting to understand like inside jokes and things. There is definitely a sense of culture. And I think the number one thing that's helped for integration is like daily stand-ups. We have a meeting every single morning. It's only like 20 minutes or so, but that kind of 20 minutes is a really important part of my day, because you get a little chat with people, you have a quick laugh, and you get a real sense of kind of community. One of the things I do love about it is if I need something from someone else or someone needs something from me, they can just call me on Slack and I don't have to stop doing what I'm doing. I don't have to walk anywhere. And like being able to share screens and stuff like that, I think makes it a lot easier than walking between desks and things like that. Culture-wise, you definitely get a lot of it. I mean, people are always chatting about something or the other. The first couple of weeks was when Animal Crossing had recently come out, so I hopped into those channels as well, and people were sharing their their friend codes and stuff to go sell things on their island and stuff like that. So yeah, the sense of community is definitely very, very strong. But it definitely depends on the team. I think under a different company, maybe under a different team, I don't think it might have been that strong. But again, like I said, it's a similar experience to something like a Discord server. It depends on the people there, and I think I got very lucky with the people there.
Yeah, the Animal Crossing black market always brings people together.
Yeah, the dark stuff, right?
So, on kind of the next point then. In that transition, so you kind of join the studio, you meet up, you're chatting with people, you're getting used to the kind of culture of the place. But what are the kind of biggest things that you learn, either technically or socially or whatever, from starting the job, compared to kind of when you were going it on your own and trying to build your portfolio, or maybe kind of networking online? But yeah, what are the kind of big things that you have picked up?
You want me to answer that, or Kenji first?
Whoever
Both.
wants.
Yeah, you can go if you want.
Yeah, fight it out.
Yeah,
Knife.
I'm just gonna go for it, and if Kenji's sad, I'm very sorry. I think I've learned two huge things just being in a studio environment. One is efficiency. I mean, like with personal work, you don't need to be super efficient. It's nice, it saves you time, but I've learned like a whole nother level of just being efficient, not necessarily working faster or with more speed, but just in a more intelligent way. And it's just, I think it's just
shortcuts, right?
Yeah, sure. Like it's just something you pick up, I think, once you are, because you transition from like modeling and working on 3D art a couple of hours a day, to doing it literally all day long. Come in and start at whatever time you start, work for like 8 hours or something doing 3D, and then you finish work and then you do personal work kind of thing, and it like quadruples the amount of time you spend on art in a given day. But one of the things it taught me was just how to work more efficiently, how to save myself a lot of time, how to reuse things a lot easier. I think the other aspect of that, like the sort of social aspect, is like people in this industry are incredibly knowledgeable about an incredible number of things. If someone has made a door, they will have had to gather reference on the door, and they probably have a weird amount of knowledge about doors now. And just being able to experience that, I think, is really, really cool. There's just a ton to learn from everyone.
It sounds like a really well kind of supported environment, and what you're saying about the learning to reuse stuff better, I think is really key. It's with games being kind of a product and having limited time, there definitely is a kind of sense of how can we get the most out of the least kind of time or manpower, hours that we kind of have.
I think a really big part of that is the first thing I worked on when I went there was Phantom Covert Ops, available in a store near you, which we had a version on the Oculus Quest, which is basically, it's like a super-powered mobile phone, basically, is what the hardware is, right? And that was a challenge. Getting things to run on that was a challenge, and that was the reason I was originally hired, was to help with the kind of optimization side of things. But I learned a ton from that, and I think just having to get things to look as good as possible and run as well as possible on something with that little power, especially in virtual reality, where you need high frame rates, was it was a trial by fire, but I learned a ton doing that.
I picked it up, actually. It better look good. I haven't played it yet.
Well, pressure's on.
How about Kenji then?
Well, I mean, for me, the biggest transition from learning to being in a studio probably is like the feel that you are not alone anymore, that you belong to somewhere, and what you are doing serves to a purpose as well, right? You are doing a product, you are doing a game. So it is like every single thing I'm doing is gonna be displayed on a screen, and a lot of people they're gonna be playing around your environment or among the assets you've been creating. So that's a feeling. Yeah, I feel like really proud of everything I'm doing, and as well, I don't know, like working in every single, like new Jira task, you have to do something else. It's like, okay, this is gonna be awesome, and probably your task is connected to other people's work. I'm on the team, so you have to be a little bit critical at the beginning, because you have to analyze what you have to do. You have to know the tools and what the tool is doing, and who created this tool and which purpose has the tool. So you are learning a lot of the insights across other, departments, probably like the technical artists. For example, I'm learning like quite a lot, and it's something that I'm really keen, and I'm always, like really down for learning more of technical art, because it's everything that is running like behind the curtains, right? It's like something that make things possible, because not only an artist creating assets can, like cover as much distance or spaces as a technical artist, and you just make it look prettier.
Pretty much. Has your now that you both have experienced like the first job, the studio, and learning all of these tips and tricks, like Ray said, he's just more efficient. Like, has your view on personal work changed? Like, if you were to start another personal project, Ray, for example, would you tackle it completely differently? Are there things where you're like, I don't need to waste that much time on task A, because like no one's, it's just pointless. And I feel like you only learn that once you've got into the industry.
I had been working on something on a personal piece for like 3 months before I started, and I didn't touch it for like the first probably 2 months I was there. I was just kind of immersing myself. And when I went back to it, I just laughed at everything I had done. Like the quality wasn't good enough. I think your quality bar like takes a massive leap when you join a studio, but like the quality just wasn't there, and nothing made sense. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I deleted all of it, and I started from scratch. And I am already further than I was after 3 months, and it's only been going on for like what, maybe 4 weeks.
That never stops, man. Trust me. Like by the time you do your third job, you just keep leveling up. So
keep hiding that old work.
And so, what did you remove from your pipeline or your workflow system?
It's just like I think before you get into the industry, at least for me, there's this weird misconception of like how obvious reuse is and how obvious repeating patterns are and things like that. If I'm working on a personal scene and I'm like, okay, cool, there's like some trees on a pathway. In my brain, I'm like, okay, so I need at least like 6 unique trees, right? But that's an insane number. If it's a single camera shot, like that's a ridiculous number. And it's just one of those things because in a studio you can't do something like that. You don't have the time, you know. And if you start, someone is gonna call it out and be like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" You know, one tree you can use at least 4 sides of it. It probably looks different, you know. I think that was the biggest one for me. Is I kept making in my personal work, I would have these ridiculously huge modular kits, you know, and just a ridiculous number of pieces. And I think that for me is the number one thing I learned was just how to reuse stuff and hide it a lot better.
And what about, for example, materials? Because I found myself doing like less materials every day. I touch every single day less substance designer. Like I just open it for doing like really specific things that I might not have or I want to be done like in a certain way. But if they are out there, I find myself, you know, like just grabbing stuff from here and there and just doing a new whole composition or just investing my time in other stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that as well. Just kind of taking stuff from like existing assets and textures and reusing those, I think is a big deal as well. I had a tendency to make a lot of unique textures for things as well. But I mean, if you've already got, I don't know, a wooden fence and you need to make like a wooden boardwalk or something, I mean, dude, the texture's already there. You know, if the assets are already there, just jiggle them around.
Just change the color, the rotation. Like you can get away with so much just reusing stuff, and I think it's just being exposed to those workflows.
Yeah, the only person that notices that reuse is you.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, I even with trees and stuff, like there's so many cool tricks you can do. Like just have the trunk on its own and the branches separate, and then like now you can make as many trees as you want. Like there's so many workflows you can do with different assets. So, and then you can do a different approach on your personal projects.
And this is a question maybe for everyone here. Like, have you found yourselves when you just join into a company trying to, you know, like make prevail your point of view about something that because you are thinking that is correct, and I mean this is not just, you know, like fighting with other people from the team, but just trying to make them understand that this new way or new, you know, like cutting edge technology could solve better a problem that is currently happening.
With stuff like that, it's a big question of money, right? You can't just come in and be like, hey, the software does things way better. It's like, okay, well, there's a whole investigation you got to do about how that software actually integrates into your pipeline, if it even works, if it even gives you the results that you want, and how much money the licenses cost, like training people with this new software. It's a big question of money. So sometimes you may get into studio and you feel like the pipeline's a little bit more outdated, but it's more because it's, it works, it does the job fast enough, and training people in new software and getting licenses is a bit too much money. So it's not something you can just come in and be like, hey, let's change our workflow, right?
Yeah, I agree with Luan. Everyone loves Unreal Engine 4 right now. Like everyone loves it. All the students are using it. And when you join a studio, they already have their own tools. Like they've got their own toolkit and things like that just doesn't generally have all of the stuff that Unreal has, or they have stuff that is better, and people kind of think, well, we should do it this way. But that simple request has so many big changes for the pipeline, and like Luan said, there's money involved as well, and a lot of decisions have to be made. So it's not just, you might have the best ideas on the planet, but you need to make sure it fits the system that the company's built. And I imagine it's the same at nDreams and Rebellion. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think it's also a question of like support maybe. something like Marvelous Designer is great, obviously, at simulating cloth. So if I need to drape a cloth over a box, I'm trying to think of generic examples, but if I need to drop a cloth on a box, in my head, I'm like, okay, cool, let me open up Marvelous and just do a quick sim, But I don't have a Marvelous license at work, because why would I? I'm not doing like character art or anything like that. So you can't justify the cost for like a single artist to have a tool like that when I don't use it to its fullest extent. And then on top of that, it's like, if something goes wrong, how many other people know the tool well enough to help you with that, or do you need external support? Or it just adds so many questions. Workflow wise, I kind of get where you're coming from, Kenji. I think workflow wise, it's very easy to look in from the outside and be like, okay, let's do this, and this. And for me, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes I made, is doing that. And I needed to, one of the things I learned very quickly is to like just sit back and try and understand why something is done a certain way first. And that's definitely somewhere where I stumbled. And I think if I can give advice to anyone starting their first job, it's like, if you think something is crazy, just ask why it's that way, and you'll probably get an answer that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, I found myself, like trying to stop thinking like Unreal Engine 4-headed. Like it's like I'm not using Unreal 4 anymore. Not here. So you have to translate all those knowledge that you already have from a previous engine to the new one, and you have to check which limits you have. So you can only find other way arounds for getting something similar. Is where I found myself like many times, and trying to like ask which limits we have with the engine, or which things we can do before, or or just trying to get a new workflow or new tech into for example the engine. And that's something that is really fun to do. There's always this the eternal discussion with many people, right? Just trying to get things better. Obviously, like Luan told before, like there's things that know to go on, that is just like investing in a new whole software that you're gonna be the only one that is using it, so it is pointless.
Yeah, I think the something I found is, when I remember when I was first learning how to use Designer, Substance Designer, I like when I was looking into the software, I found there were studios that like Substance, a team of dudes from Substance would go into a studio and like help train their staff, and they were training these massive studios as late as, like, I don't know, 2018 and things like that. Like, they were only just integrating those pipelines or moving over to those workflows. Like, it's very easy for you at home to be like, okay, cool, I'm going to grab a trial of the software, I'm going to learn, I'm going to follow some YouTube tutorials, but you can't have a studio of like, even if you were a tiny studio of like 20 people or something, you cannot possibly just give away an entire week worth of work for people to use a tool. That only, I guess, really happens between projects, maybe. But like, I imagine that must cost a ton of money to train people on new tools.
It takes time out of the development, because when we were in Paris, like, we spent a month learning Houdini. So production, you ramp down, but you have to time it well enough, and then your team learns some new skills. But like you said, you have to convince the studio why it's worth investing that time. And I think that's where it just comes down to, like, you might have these great ideas, but you have to sell them, because not everyone understands what the tool is at the end of the day.
Yeah, sometimes it's like a little bit like MacGyver, that you're given I don't know, like a chew gum and a clip, and you can only make it happen, right?
I love the analogy.
Got to work those miracles.
Make it work.
Hey, you learned.
Like,
I know how to use
this. We want this. You have to get it done. I don't know how, but.
I wanted to ask you guys, now that you've been in the industry for a little bit, and you guys have had a chance to sit down and settle in, how have you found coming back home and getting any motivation to work on your personal art, if any you get at all? Do you?
I was just about to ask that.
Yeah, it's something that I think a lot of people would be interested in as they join the industry, and they all get tired of doing artwork and they come home to play games, kind of stuff, that kind of stuff. So it's a good topic.
Kenji, you want to go first, or?
Okay, yeah, I will answer. Yeah, for example, for me, at the beginning was like, okay, yeah, finally I got a job, and now I have like tons of free time for doing whatever I want, and it is mainly playing video games because I mean you have fun, and it only lasts like I don't know, 2 weeks, not even. Before I was already opening some project that I already started and start like continuing creating more stuff for it. And yeah, it's like you have to keep yourself busy sometimes for like not losing the motivation or inspiration even. And I wish I could like disconnect, but sometimes it's not that easy because you just want to get better and better, like the over the time. And mm, playing video games, yes, you can find a little bit of peace doing that, but I feel like that I need to be a little bit stressed even in my free time, like just learning here and there, like even opening X Points, like digital magazine for me it's like a source of inspiration, and I learn a lot of things. Like, okay, people is now doing this, and they are not doing that another thing that you used to do. So it's always a fresh breath for keeping you up.
I think for me it's like that's I think for me that's a very loaded question, right? Like it definitely depends. Before I got in industry, I was desperate to make games, right? Like ever since I was tiny, I really wanted to make video games. I didn't always know what that meant, obviously, but it's something I really wanted to do. So before I got in, I must have spent the last it took me a couple of years until I got good enough to land a job. But I think the last year I really pushed myself, maybe a little bit too far in some cases. Like I would do a full work day. I would come home. I would sit straight at my desk. I would do personal work for like 2 hours. My partner, bless her heart, would make me dinner or something, put it on my desk. I would eat while working, and I would work like all through the night until, I don't know, like midnight or something, go to bed, and I would repeat that every single day. I did that constantly, which don't do that. It's very unhealthy. Definitely don't do that. I don't recommend it. But I always had this thing in the back of my head of like, I'm not allowed to play video games. I cannot let myself relax at the moment. So the second I got a job, I kind of I just sort of shut off, right? I got a job and I was like, I sort of made it in my head. So I don't think I logged onto Discord for like 2 months straight. And I finally found the time to play video games and things like that. And then the kind of need to make something of my own sort of came back to me, and I think it's important to let that happen naturally. I remember talking to like Jay Cummings about this. I think he said it was like 6 or 7 months he didn't touch personal work for. I've heard a lot of anecdotes from different people who they got their first job and they didn't make personal art for like 2 years and things like that. So it's important not to feel pressured into doing personal art, but it is very nice now to be able to kind of relax. I can let myself just spend an evening playing games. And one of the most important things I did is I sort of I'm really into like lists and planning things. So I set my week out. So sort of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday I do personal work. That's my evening. That's what I do. And then Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I play video games. Those are my free days. I do whatever. And that for me works really, really well because I can, if it's not a portfolio day, in my head, I can kind of get excited for what I'm doing the next day. You sort of build it up. And then when it's not a game day, you kind of get excited to play video games. So it kind of keeps everything very, very balanced. And it's I learned the hard way to kind of let yourself take breaks,
So I want to ask you, what about working from home? Because, for example, when I've been, like confined at home, I just couldn't, like keep working after the working hours at home because I'm still trying to do something in the very same spot I've been working. The previous 8 hours or 9 hours? Is like I just can't. It's like I don't want to do any personal project or whatever. And I was feeling like really unproductive, and I was just like watching our TV shows or just playing video games, and I was like really highly demotivated, for doing my personal stuff. But as soon as I came back to the studio, like recently, was like just coming back from work, and it's like, yes, today is like a portfolio day, and I was just like sitting for another 5 hours, just continue working on my own stuff, and highly motivated. I wasn't compelled. I wasn't feeling compelled to finish it, but in certain way, I was just like enjoying it as well.
So I think there's it a lot of people. I remember getting an email from HR in my first like week or two, which recommended that I walk around the block at the start of the day and do the same at the end of the day. So the idea is that you take your keys with you, you leave the house, you walk maybe 5 minutes, and then you go back to your computer and you start working. And when you finish working, like shut down the work computer, turn on yours, and then take your keys with you and walk around the block again another 5 minutes and come back, because that helps your brain separate kind of work time from home time, and you get the travel in and stuff like that. I'm very lazy, so that didn't work for me. I don't like walking.
I do that.
No,
I'm not even
I think
joking.
I think it's the help and advice, because I mean, for me at the beginning of the whole pandemic, I was like really really freaking scared about like going even to grocery shopping. It's like, oh no, I'd rather just wait and just
Yeah.
like eating noodles.
It depends. It depends very much on the person. I'm quite introverted in like a social sense. Like I'm more than happy talking to people about anything, but being around people makes me quite tired. So I'm not one to leave the house constantly anyway. So it didn't have as big an effect on me as it would on a lot of other people, I feel. But I think it's just finding some form of separation. Like for me, it's little things. I have a little USB hub that like my mouse and my keyboard and that goes into. And every night when I finish work, it's like a ritual for me. I crawl under my desk, I unplug the hub from my work machine, and I plug it into my personal machine. And for my brain just kind of understands like, cool, work mode is off, like you're done. Don't put like Slack or Teams or anything like that, or like Jira. Don't put any of that on your phone. Don't put any of that on your personal machine. Just find some form of separation. If it's like running around your house for 10 minutes and then doing it, or something like that. Again, for me, the thing that worked was separating my week, because it kept me excited for what I was doing next. And limiting yourself is very important. Like I'm sure you've had times where you've had a bunch of holiday or a long weekend or something in school where you have no work to do, and it's like, oh hell yeah, I get to play video games for like a week straight, and like 2 days in, you're just staring at your Steam library, like clicking on nothing, trying to find something to play.
You're looking like, I've got nothing to play.
Yeah, and that happens with
freebies.
Yeah, it happens with personal work as well, right? You end up just kind of clicking around, wasting your own time. So separating it made a big deal for me, because I can get excited if I'm sort of quote unquote not allowed to play games on like a Wednesday or something. It gets me excited to do that, and I think that's really really valuable.
Yeah, I think the best periods for gaming for me was when I had like exams during the university. It's like you cannot play this week because you have exams to do. It's like, oh no, I have to play. I have to play 12 hours straight every single day.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's tricky to find that correct kind of work-life separation. I do a lot of little things. I have one of those stupid light-up keyboards, and I change the profile. I have one profile on the keyboard for work and one for home, and it's just a bunch of little things like that help me transition.
Does that actually help?
It helps me. Like I open the windows and turn on the light in my lounge, that's where my computer is. I turn the light on when I'm working, and when I'm done working, like the light goes dim. It gets all relaxed and calm, sort of thing. Just as many little things as possible to separate it. And don't wear pajamas if you're working from home.
That one, I want to give that advice too, because I find myself way more productive if I'm actually dressed properly and I had a shower, and like it's almost like I've done my routine to go to work.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, if I'm wearing like sweatpants or whatever, I just sit there like moving a vert left and forward,
Yeah.
It's whatever.
I tried having a casual Friday like that. I'm just going to wear my pajamas, and I just didn't get enough done. I just haven't done it since. I find even on weekends, if you want to get up and do stuff, just like get up, take a shower, do your usual routine. The days will last longer.
It's like the starting point of the day.
So I want to ask Ray, what do you think it will be like when you go back to the studio finally? Like, do you have another preconceived idea of the first day at the office? Because obviously you have the idea of the first day at work, but you still haven't been to the studio.
I think it's going to be first day part 2. It's going to be a lot of like meeting people again. I feel like everyone's going to be like, "Oh, you're shorter than I thought." Yeah, I think it'll kind of be like that part 2, just meeting people in person. Because people like, I don't know, like stance is a big thing, right? The way someone stands, if their back is straight, if they slouch, it's little things like that you can't quite pick up on. But if you hang out with someone even for a day, you kind of understand the person more just from the way they walk or they talk or they move their body. And I think that'll be really weird just to kind of get used to. And I think one of the things I know that I'm going to struggle with focus, because it will just be this crazy new environment. It's just very different. And I've gotten very used to sitting down at my computer, opening Spotify and playing music, and then working, and I can just bash that out. And then the second I get on like a call or something, or there's a meeting, I can't do both at the same time because it's just very distracting to me. And that's definitely something I'll need to get used to. It's exciting though. I could do with a tour of the office.
Have a VR, dude. You're a VR company, man. Ask for a VR tour of the office, man. Why is this not part of the onboarding process?
That's a good idea. I'm going to pitch that and take all the credit for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got it recorded right now. So.
Yeah, we do.
Arriving late to the party.
It's nice to know you've played your hand already. So,
so something I want to ask is, having both secured a job, which is a pretty big step. What were kind of some tips or what kind of things do you think you did that perhaps gave you more success than other people? Because obviously it's a super competitive industry. Loads of people apply for every job. What kind of set you apart from your competition that kind of helped you land that job? Who wants to go first on this?
You want to go, Ray?
Yeah, sure, I'll do it. I feel like I keep going first, but I'll talk slightly less.
That's the way it is, man.
The way you gotta deal with it.
South African first.
I think the number one thing is feedback, criticism, and talking to people. The thing that improved me the most, I'm sure everyone says this every single week, but the number one thing that improved me was joining a Discord. Getting feedback, posting your work, let people talk to you about it, because everyone has their own personal quality bubble. It doesn't matter what level you're at. If you've been in this industry for like 70 years, you're like an old man with a cane and you're doing art. Like when you start making something, you have an idea in your head of how good it looks and you get it to a certain level. And then you share it with someone else and they instantly see all the flaws. And that is the most valuable part of the artistic process, in my opinion, is criticism. And talking to people makes a huge difference. Just having a chat with people that, because everyone knows different things. Everyone has something to teach you. You can get feedback from everyone. And it's also very important to get feedback from people that don't understand 3D art. I would always ask my mum or my partner about this, because they would, as an artist, you kind of understand in your head a little bit what is difficult to do and what's easy to do. And sometimes subconsciously, I find myself doing this, you give feedback to someone and you'll just avoid something that is like a huge pain to do. Whereas I find when I ask my mom, she's like, oh yeah, have you tried, I don't know, spending another like 6 hours making one change sort of thing. And you get these ideas that you never would have thought of. Number one trick to landing a job is criticism and feedback. Go join the EXP Discord. Available now. Link in the description.
And the nearest internet provider.
Link in the description. Just get in there, talk to people, ask questions. I might think a brick wall looks great. I show it to Kenji. Kenji tells me it's the worst brick wall he's ever seen. Try this, and this.
Kenji.
And all of a sudden,
Kenji, man,
you have notorious telling people that brick walls look terrible.
But you will always end up with a better product. No one has ever asked for feedback and ended up with something worse. It's never happened.
So That raises a good point, though. Obviously, asking for feedback is just one step.
Mhm.
Like there's a learning procedure of how to take that feedback on board and work on it, right?
You have to know what feedback to listen to and what feedback to not ignore, but you need to understand how to interpret it to your scene. Everyone likes something different. I'm a big fan of like strong God rays. I love the look. Other people might think they don't look so good, right? Or it just might not be their preference. So if you have this idea for a scene and you're like, oh, it's real purple and there's like this big pink light, don't do that. That's bad color composition. You know, and then you show that to someone and they say, hey, I think your light should be green. It's like, well, that defeats the purpose of the scene. That's not the look you're going for. But you need to understand where those criticisms are coming from. So while they might want you to change the lighting in the whole scene, is the reason for that they hate you? No. Is the reason for that the lighting looks a bit weird? Yeah, probably. It's not to say that you should change everything to be exactly what someone has asked you to do, but you need to try and understand maybe where those criticisms have come from and how to spin that into something that's a bit more useful to you. I hope that makes at least some semblance of sense.
Makes sense to me. Hopefully, whoever's listening, it makes sense to them as well. That's the important part.
Yeah, I guess that could be quite intimidating for a lot of people who are learning or kind of students who they might not necessarily be that confident in their work, and they're putting it out and they're worried that people are going to rip it to shreds.
It's very easy to take offense to things like that. It's super easy because it's you know, that's your blood, sweat, and tears right there. You could have been working on something for like 100, 150, 200 hours of work could have gone into a scene, and you show someone and they just rip it apart. And that can be quite demotivating if you kind of are not used to that. Some people are better at giving criticism than others, I guess. But that's definitely a big part of it, I think, is just understanding where that criticism comes from. Understand why someone feels a certain way. It's very rare in good communities. You know, again, brick walls are an easy example because everyone's made one. It's very easy to say, hey man, that wall, it looks bad. Like that's not useful feedback. You know, as an artist, there's not much you can take from that. What most people tend to do is they're like, hey, I think you can improve by doing X or by doing Y. And people tend to provide images and things like that. And that's where you tend to kind of level up the most and get the most experience just from learning from things like that. But again, it's very important to understand that like feedback, people are trying to help you. They're not trying to tell you your work is bad. They're trying to push it to the next level and make it even better. Everyone is trying to help everyone.
And haven't you found yourself, you know, just giving feedback to someone else and learning through the process of giving feedback to someone else because you are trying to be analytic through the work of another person? And it's like, okay, I think this is looking off because, as you said, like maybe the ray gods are like really strong, and you're trying to explain that person why they are looking off, and you have to, you know, like land your critiques, you know, like to a safe port and not getting another person into a defensive mode, and as well you are like improving your social skills or communicating skills, or you are just, you're like developing your critical eye.
Yeah. I think the word, like you brought up the word defensive there, I think that's really important. I think it's a bad trait for an artist to get defensive about something. I'm guilty of this. I'm sure a lot of other people are guilty of doing this in the past. You know, it's so easy to take something personally. When you criticize someone else's work, it's important not to put them in a defensive stance, like you said, Kenji. But it's also important for you not to take stuff personally and get defensive about it. It's a really, like, that trait will only get worse in life, you know? It's never going to work out well for you to get super defensive about something you've done. People are, again, people are only trying to help.
Yeah, you have to just go open-minded, just see what's going on, why people are saying this, as you were saying, being, you know, like trying to discard like the opinions that are, you know, like improving your work less, and just grabbing the best ideas you think that may work, you know, on top of your work.
Mm-hmm.
And you won't, you know, like be going out empty-handed ever.
Yeah, definitely. I think a big tip I would give that I learned very quickly, to improve yourself and especially to try and land your first job and get your quality bar up there, is don't don't work constantly. Don't work on your portfolio 24/7. I said it earlier, like it's very bad for you. Don't do that. 2 hours of pure focus and you just bashing out some really good art is always going to be better than 14 hours of you forcing yourself to do something. Set yourself small goals for what you're going to do for the day, the week, whatever, and just do that and take your time with it. And if you need to relax, if you need to take a break, there is literally nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, first of all, for me, my tips will be like, first of all, like self-awareness. Probably you're in a point that you suck like a lot, and it is fine. You are learning. You are still improving. There is always room for improving. I mean, even me right now, landing a job doesn't mean that you are, like in the highest peak in your career. No, that means that you are good enough for being in a production, but doesn't mean that you are like an outstanding, rock star or whatever. So it is good when you are, learning, comparing yourself when you are opening art station, and just not getting discouraged because you are looking at other people creating amazing or environment or concept art or characters or whatever. And that is only reflecting that there is some gap between you and them, and the only gap, the gap you filled it up just through like work and a better understanding of what you are doing. So for me, when I was doing my portfolio, the demo reel in particular, something that helped me out to land the first job was like being really constant and having a good planification of what I was doing. And I was like only 1 month off of the first deadline I put onto myself, because okay, I think this is gonna be the time that it's gonna take me. So I think for after 8 months I will have something that is showable, and it only took me another month more for just tweaking and calibrating stuff and going all like through all the feedback for example in experience points gave me a lot of people concerning uh, to materials, to lighting, to composition. And I was just asking every single human on earth, just trying to get everything like done properly. And obviously certain changes, as you were saying, they were like just undoable. Like, it's like I cannot invest more time doing this, because first you are kind of burnt of or sick of your own project a little bit. You want to just ship it, and something is better to hold your horses for a bit, and okay, just let's like wrap this up properly, because sometimes a lot of people, they are doing an amazing job just modeling or texturing something, and just because they just put like four lights and like really awful like a camera shots for like presenting their own work, they are not just like doing a good job at it, because it's like you're selling yourself like pretty bad if you are just running that fast when you are presenting your job. You are presenting your product, and you want to get a job with that. If it's more important, if you have a job and you're presenting your stuff like really wrongly, okay, it's okay, you're not good at that, but you already have a job. And yeah, and as well, like, this is not a race from getting from A to B. Just like, it's better being slow and steady than fast and neglecting yourself just because you want to work only on your portfolio. It's important to take breaks. If you have to go on holidays because it's summer or whatever, or just going with your partner elsewhere, please do it. Otherwise, you're gonna be like jumping in a loop of depression, or just like feeling bad with yourself and feeling guilty because you're not working, and that's something that you don't want to be in it, because it's like really bad. And for example, me, every time I'm just like feeling really stressed, I just keep distance from the computer, and I'm just trying to do something else. It can be even 2 hours of break or whatever from the computer, and maybe that's enough. maybe sometimes it's a week. Totally understandable. So just be steady and have a clear picture of what do you want to do and what do you have to do, because it's gonna yeah, it's gonna allow you to perform a better job. For example, when I'm working, I'm just taking, I don't know, like a sprint of 2 hours, 5 minutes of, like doing nothing, just thinking, okay, in the following 2 hours, I have to do this another task. And I find myself, achieving doing that in those hours. Because if I'm trying to work those 4 hours straight, I will find myself, like a moving vertex here and there, and it's like I'm rotating the model here and there, and just doing practically nothing, or just I'm moving a stupid slider in Painter. It's like, okay, yeah, cool, but you're not doing practically nothing.
I'm guilty of that a lot. I tend to just once I lose focus, I'm just kind of sit there dragging a slider like left and right or something. That's incredibly good advice though. I definitely agree with that. It's so important to take a break. If there's a new game out, you really want to play it, go play it, because you're not going to get any work done if you just sit there thinking about like Spider-Man or something. No one, if you're trying to make a real cool brick wall and all you can think about is Spider-Man, you're not going to get anywhere. Just go play a game, relax a bit, and your brain will naturally fall back onto your personal work or even your work, if it's a weekend or something. Your brain will naturally go back to it, and you'll start having ideas of how you can improve things or how you can do things differently. And I find, like, even at work, my mornings are my most productive times. It's when I have the most like energy, and I can just I probably do like 75% of a day's work between I start really early because I'm a crazy person, but between like 7:30 and 1 o'clock or something like that, and I tend to get a lot less done between like 2 and 4.
I'm like the complete opposite in that I do all of my work after 5 p.m.
I don't know where I am. I'm just always working. I don't know where I'm most productive. I think is the morning.
Yeah, for me, the morning is the best. It's the best moment of the day, and if I'm just a little bit drowsy or whatever, I just fill myself up with coffee and full ahead.
So, what about moving country? Because obviously, Kenji, you said Canada, and Ray's from South Africa. So, what about people that are kind of on the edge of moving country for a job? Like maybe they've got an interview and they're still not sold on it, but like it's a great company, it's a great opportunity. They're just scared to take that leap. Like, do you have any advice for those people?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just said that. For example, I was doing an artist, for example, for going to Czech Republic, and I don't have anything against Czech Republic. It's beautiful, but I wasn't feeling like investing my time, learning a new language or whatever, even if the company was amazing. And then I was, like doing even interviews with Japan, and I was just totally open to move out to any other country, even if it was in Canada. It was the primary objective of going to Canada to study. But yeah, I had to change my plans. What I wanted to do is like to work, and I didn't mind, like doing that in Canada, Czech Republic, Japan, maybe back in Spain. And as soon as I just gave up in Canada after like 11 interviews over there, and everything went south with the visa stuff. That is something that people should be aware of before trying to go to another country. Check that. First company I wanted to join here in UK was Rebellion, and I sent my CV like in a Monday. On Thursday I had the reply, and
fast.
on Monday I was doing the interview, and that very same no, after a week they just sent me over the contract to be signed.
That's really cool.
They moved pretty quick.
Yeah, they moved fast.
Very quick. What about you, Ray? Was it that fast or?
So I'm quite different in this sense. I mean, I have been in the UK for like 5, maybe 6 years now. But I would say if you have an opportunity to do your dream job, just go for it. If it's a place you can stand living, go for it. You will have the time of your life. If someone said to me right now, "Oh, hey man, come work at I don't know, fun company in Canada or like in North America, anywhere there, or like, hey, come work for our cool company in Scotland. We're making this game." I would jump at the opportunity. Any day of the week, I would jump at the opportunity, as long as you are, still relatively young enough to take that risk easily. Go for it. One of the things that I was so scared of, because I left a full-time job, one of the things I was really scared of was like, oh man, am I going to be able to pay my rent and this and that? And it's like, it's a job, you're good at it. They've approached you, or they've looked at your application, they have decided that you're skilled enough to do the job, so go for it. Jump at the opportunity, because it's like nothing else. There is no other industry like this.
Yeah, and that's something that everyone should keep present, in their minds, that it's like, if I'm getting interviews, I'm in the correct path. It's like, if you are not getting that job even after doing the interview or whatever, because an interview doesn't assure anything, but someone paid attention to your artwork. They thought that you are like someone that could fit into their company. So if a company already saw that on you, you should keep going on, and don't just rely on what you have already in ArtStation. Maybe just doing smaller pieces. You don't have to go like to a massive environment or whatever. Just do small stuff. So you keep going on, and like doing your work, establishing a little bit of networking and approach to recruiters. For example, why I got so many interviews in Canada, because after sending my application on their website, I was just straightforward to the I was going straight forward to the recruiters or HR team in that company, and I was poking them. It's like, hey man, or hey, whoever it was, I just sent my CV to your company, and I'm doing as well this another thing, but I haven't posted yet in my R station. So they were already, like intrigued. Oh, okay, yes, send me your stuff here to my personal email, and they were checking on my artwork, and that granted me like 11, like interviews over there. So don't just rely on sending stuff over internet, or the like normal vias of application. Just go to the recruiters or HR teams. They are working as well. They are not like, hey man, why are you talking to me? No, it's like, you want to work with us? Okay, yeah, let's take a look. What do you have to offer? We're a company. We are, like paying you for your services, for your work, your potential. So keep always that on mind as well.
Yeah, I think it's also like that's good advice, Kenji. Is just apply to places, especially given the current global climate. Like companies are now more than ever in a real position to hire people for remote roles. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you're making kick-ass art and you apply somewhere and they want you, they're gonna pick you up. Some companies will fly people out from across the world just for interviews. It happens. Maybe not so much at a junior level, but I mean, if you're an amazing artist, it will happen, And even if they just want you to work remotely, that's experience that you have under your belt. Just apply to places.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's really, really useful and solid advice, and hopefully our listeners have got a lot from that. I'm going to move us on to a couple of Patreon questions now. Ooh. So you guys ready to answer some questions?
Always. I kind of scared, but yes.
So the first question from Sean is asking, so he's a freelancer, but he wants to know about how it was transitioning from kind of working on your own at your comfy home desk to being in a workspace with other devs. How did that feel? Did you feel like you were working too slow? Or how did that affect your schedule? So I think we're going to get two pretty different answers here, because you've both got quite different experiences with this.
Yeah, indeed.
Kenji,
you want
to answer first this
Yeah,
time?
Yeah, let's
I
get
will
Kenji
answer.
to start off.
Yeah, I mean, for example, for me, it was like working. I don't know, like something that you shouldn't be doing. Never like working 15 hours straight every single day till you get the job. No, don't do that because you're gonna melt down. So for me, it was like okay, from working alone at home and finally, like surrounded about amazing artists that just trying to do something together. It is just inspiring. You are just like surrounded about many other people that are more skilled than you, and you are gonna nurture from their skills, from their knowledge, and you're just getting better at any day, and you're gonna find yourself in no time, like doing the same stuff that they are doing, and improving your artwork, your times, your everything. And you're not gonna be like losing your time in like not even 5 minutes because you're just looking around, everyone is doing their job, and you're super happy of being there. And I don't know, if you compare this to work at home you can just open Discord, you can open Telegram, you can do just, I don't know, neglecting a little bit yourself, like losing the focus of attention that you should be doing this and you are not doing that. And that's why I was working 15 hours a day, because probably I was working 8 of them and the another 7 was just, like looking at the another screen and just, like losing my time doing whatever I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree a lot with Kenji there. I think the biggest thing for me, transition wise, I can't say from a freelance perspective, but transition wise was just having an actual schedule, having a time frame. Like I said earlier, with personal art, if I have to produce, X prop, I can just do it whenever. I can take as much time as I want. If it takes me an hour, it takes me an hour. If it takes 10, it takes 10. In a studio, you need to be more efficient than that. Oftentimes, you will be given a task, whether it's for the day, for the week, the month. You might have a list of tasks you need to get through. Everywhere is a bit different. But you will very often be given a time frame for that. So I know in the morning, like, okay, I have to achieve this today. And I've brought that into my personal work now because it's made me, like I said, a lot more efficient. That's one of the big things. I think if you work freelance, you already have that in a sense. Maybe deadlines are a bit tighter in production. I don't know. I couldn't say for sure. I haven't worked a lot of freelance, so I couldn't kind of answer directly to that with the differences. But I think number one is just schedules and timelines. It's the biggest difference for me.
Okay. Yeah, that hopefully will answer Sean's question. I think so. And next question. So Nicholas is asking, for those of us looking to break into our first position, we hear a lot about showing the fundamentals on the portfolio and that quality is greater than quantity. Are there any specific learning materials that you guys used or looked at when working on your portfolio and trying to get that first position that were in particular more helpful? So anything that's maybe less common, or anything that you found like super duper useful?
I'm just gonna jump right in here. Message people on ArtStation. Like, dude, everyone responds. It's crazy. If you see like a really sick tree and you want to learn how to make sick trees, send them a message. 9 times out of 10 they'll respond. That's how I've learned the most. Just ask people about their scenes. If someone posts art and they make a cool monkey and you're like, oh, I want to make a monkey, just ask them. They'll tell you. No one's keeping secrets from each other. Just ask more questions.
That's very true. It's something I've made like several times, and indeed nowadays I'm still doing it. Maybe not in ArtStation, but maybe in Discord. It's like, oh shit, I need lighting advice. So I'm just poking here and there. Like several lighting artists is like, yo man, you have to teach me how to do this. Like what else you need? Maybe I will tell you just to focus in your strongest, like skill set. And if you want to, like leverage a little bit more with another, I don't know, like if you don't know anything about technical art, maybe having a glimpse of what you can do, or just do a couple of stuff with it. And I don't know, like print sheets is always that many people think that it is mandatory. It is not, but it is adding on top. Yeah, I think nothing is like resting. It's always adding. So first is just getting a decent or outstanding base of how to do like the most basic stuff to the best level you can, and then just start like putting on top of it and another thing is that you may like think that they could improve your final like result, your output.
Okay. Do we have any bonus question from Luan for this week?
Yeah, I was actually thinking. I want you guys to tell me if there was like an art station piece that you saw from someone that really sort of made you, I don't know, really inspired to finish some artwork, or really, I guess, made you change something about your workflow that it's really made your work much better. Like, has there been like someone's art piece that has done that for you guys?
Yeah, indeed. I think probably, well, the guys in this room, you all know him. That is Alec Tucker
Yeah.
from Epic.
Yeah.
His piece for Cyberpunk Challenge, it's something that it blew up. Oh, it blew up my mind. It's like incredible. So what happened? What I was doing, I was feeling a little bit discouraged about it, and as well, certain personal stuff happened, and I just stopped doing that challenge. I think it was like a couple of days ago. I was just checking on his artwork again. It's like, okay, yeah, I have to finish the challenge someday. So I have already plans for my environment, and it's practically removing everything I've made and starting it not from the scratch, but changing a lot of guidelines that I already had before and creating something new and better, and yeah, and just like being totally inspired about his artwork. Indeed, that's something that you were saying before, Ryan. Like, poke people if you want to know how to do something. I did this with Alex, so right now I know how to do it.
Nice. How about you, Ray?
I think. Can I have 3 answers to this question?
Nope, just one. Sorry.
Okay. I think it's not a piece. Then it's a person. And I mean that. I like Alex Beddoes is an incredible dude, and I fully believe that I would not be where I am right now. I would not have the job I have right now if it wasn't for him. His series on like ArtStation about getting into the industry and knowing how to take care of yourself and things like that made a huge change to me. Seeing his work, because the guy's got a crazy work ethic. I don't know how he gets so much done, but he was easily my number one inspiration, and talking with him is one of the things that got me into this industry.
Nice. That's my bonus question done.
You've both picked people that we've previously had on the podcast as well. So
yeah.
If anyone is interested,
they're rock stars. I mean, for example, like Luan is down the line for another project I have on mind that is gonna be a little bit more sci-fi, which I didn't have. I don't have any piece of like hard surface or anything like that. So I will be like bugging him around till he answers.
I'll have switched to fantasy at that point, so I've forgotten everything about sci-fi.
He'd be making Luan will be doing pixel art when that time comes.
Luan's database of knowledge.
Luan's fantasy alleyways.
Fancy alleyways, that's right.
It's got a good ring to it. We're onto something.
All right. Well, I think that about covers everything for today. So hopefully we've got a load of great information out there for anyone who's either looking to break into the industry or is kind of studying or building up their portfolio about what it's like to kind of get that first job. Thank you very much to my guests for joining us, Ray and Kenji, and thank you to Kem and Luan for being here and helping me host.
Anytime.
Thanks, guys.
If you want to learn more about EXP, head on over to the website, read some of the articles, or come and join us on Discord. Come share your work and chat to the great community. Look forward to you joining us again for our next episode. Until then, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.
Add that to the outro.